Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's going on, everybody? Man, thank you for tuning into my video podcast today. I really appreciate that. You know how I always like to get my video podcast started, always with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty. Well, man, let's get started here today. So you know what? I was kind of pondering on what I wanted to talk about today. And, I've been reading this book, and there's this part in this book that I'm reading that just kind of, jumped out at me. And I figured, I said, you know what, I'm going to talk a little bit about that because it's kind of what I've been talking about here in the last few videos that I've done. And it's about the mind. It's about how you can change your mindset to setting your mind to do positive and healthy things, to so that you don't go back to the well, me personally, so that I don't go back to the addiction, so I don't go back into my depression, so I don't go back into the things that hinder my mind, and turn there my actions are negative actions, and for me it was using, and I using it, and then keeping my lifestyle in a negative lifestyle. So I am, I read a part of this book that I'm reading, and it kind of just jumped out at me. It's like, man, you know what? That is what I read there is just so true, because I'm living it today, and it's just amazing how your brain mechanisms can change in a positive sense, so that in turn you manifest your thoughts into action, right? So if you are always thinking negative things and dark things within, that's what you're going to manifest. That's what's going to come out in the actions that you do on the daily. They're all going to do, everything that you do is going to have a sense of urgency to do the negative and bad things. So it's a real deal, and I know this because I've gone through it, and I'm going through it. You know what I mean? So so I one of the things that I'm doing now in this part of my life, and what I like to call arming up my recovery arsenal, if you will. That's what I like to call it, is my recovery arsenal, because I got a lot of things that I've remembered from back in the past, of when I was sober and going through life without using, and then to present day, things that I'm picking up in my daily life today, that I'm arming myself. So I've got more things that I'm bringing into my recovery arsenal, that is just, I can break out anything, all these things, wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing, and whenever I'm sharing, you know what I mean? Because it's, I believe that the more I put in my recovery arsenal, the more I'm going to be able to help not only myself, but help somebody else, like you who are listening to the video podcast, to get on this side of the positivity and recovery realm. That is just an amazing life to live like this, versus living in the darkness and living in the strongholds of addiction, and living with the things that come with PTSDs, the things that come with living depressed, living in sadness, living in anger, living with the suicidal thoughts and that sort of thing, because I've done and been through all of that, and I know now, that I've gone through a lot of adversity, and have been sober and then get relapse into drug addiction, and did that a few times, and now in my run this time, as in my sobriety and recovery road that I'm in now, it's just different because I'm taking a different approach and putting new things into my recovery arsenal that I hadn't done before, and it is amazing how they work, and it's amazing how the way of going through things and how they are all positive. You know what I mean? The things that I do today in my recovery are all my thoughts, all my actions are all from the positiveness. There's nothing that I'm putting that is negative and making me go back. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong, I have thoughts of using. I think about it every single day. That doesn't go away. I got this neurological brain disorder in the form of addiction that I'll never be able to get rid of. You know what I mean? I understand that now. I understand that I have, childhood traumatic experiences that I deal with on the daily. The depressions, the sadness, the anger, the PTSD that I got. I understand that I have all these things wrong with me and that I have this disease. I get it. I understand it. But what I do now is that I'm more aware of the wisdom of how to tell the difference between the things that I can change and the things that I got no control over and that I can't change whatsoever. Because I used to dwell on those things. I used to dwell on the things that I never could control and had no say-so whatsoever. They just happened. It's part of life. It's just part of, you can't change what other people think. You can't change what your higher power has in store for you. And me, for in my journey, that's my God. You know what I mean? My higher power is Jesus Christ. I believe in God. And, in the book of James, I don't want to get into this whole spiritual, religious thing, but in the book of James, it's James 1:5. And in the book of James, in that verse 1:5 of James, it says that if you lack wisdom, you can ask God, and He will grant it to you in abundance with no fault. In other words, He's not going to judge you for the things that you've done. He's not going to judge you because you've been doing this, you've been an addict and I've been using all this time. He's not judging me for that. He's not judging me for the fact that, I got baptized at church and I was freaking high on cocaine. He's not judging me on that. He's not judging me on the fact that, I used to, would sell drugs or did these things to get the drugs and stole and did harm to people and stuff like that. He's not judging me on all those things. That's just that verse is, to me, it's really, it's like a grounded down verse, because it's like He gave me this personal invitation to say, if you need the wisdom, ask me and I'll give it to you, so that you know the difference of what you can do to stop the feelings that you get, to stop the cravings that you get, and what you stay away from, so that you don't go into this path of negativity and darkness. So, that's where a lot of people, I think, get that message, kind of bent a little bit, is that in that serenity prayer that we did it when we first started this video, it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. When He's saying wisdom to know the difference, wisdom doesn't mean that, it's like an intellectual thing. It's not that kind of wisdom. It's not an intellectual wisdom. It's not, reading books or years of experience, and that's what I know. No, it's not talking about that. What it's talking about when it says wisdom, it's spiritual wisdom. He's talking about the spiritual wisdom within yourself that you'll get, this inner sense of power that you have as a human being that you can get through your soul, that you're able to live your life that way. In other words, that you're able to care so much about yourself and another human being that you want to help you and them and please God all at the same time. But it's just this weird feeling that you get. I don't know how to really explain it except in that form, is that I know that I'm at calm, I'm at peace, I'm happy, and I don't have this stressfulness life that I had when I was in addiction. Because when I was in addiction, man, the life is a stressful freaking life. You know what I mean? You're on stress mode the whole time. Even when you're doing it and you think that you're thinking, oh yeah, I feel good now. You know, no, you're literally stressed out the whole freaking time, and it's just unhealthy and it's terrible. And I am so glad and happy and grateful, man, that today I am sitting here and talking to you sober and happy, stress-free, and spiritually connected to my higher power, that I'm able to sit here and share my message with you so that maybe in turn there it'll help somebody out get to this side of recovery and positivity. And it's a great feeling. But you know what? I'm gonna get these glasses on here so that I can read something to you. Okay, let's see. I wanted to read this part of this, what was in this book. In the book, by the way, it's called Steering by Starlight, and it's by Martha Beck. It's Steering by Starlight, and let me show you the book so you'll know. It's this book right here. And I'm going to read something to you from this book. It says here, I was 13 when I read that the brain is basically fixed and rigid after age 5. I remember looking in horror at the pages thinking, damn, I'm already hopelessly screwed up. And I have my whole life ahead of me. It wasn't until I reached middle age that psychologists finally developed tools sophisticated enough to watch the brain working and found, surprise, surprise, that it keeps changing and growing, morphing and regenerating throughout life. In other words, the negative reaction cluster, the stress reactions, the emotional pain, the physical weakness that are wired together in your brain and body can be rewired. The associative learning that makes us feel depressed, anxious, and old can be unlearned. The brain can stop its fears aging backwards toward its virtual, fearless, original state, and throughout the bodies will keep aging until they die. You'd be amazed how much younger you can feel if you rejuvenate your brain. You can only achieve this by doing deliberately what the brain and body is always doing by default, creating associations that fire together and therefore wire together. The trick is to form and then hold positive associations instead of negative ones. It's literally like driving a car down a rutted road, but refusing to let the tires skid into old ruts. You have to deliberately steer yourself into positive associations. And in order to wear new ruts or strong neural paths into your brain, but once you do this, the effects are astonishing and empirically testable. Scientists have found that the Tibetan lamas who did something called loving kindness meditation, that thicker than average neuron development in parts of the brain associated with happiness meditation, has also been shown to lessen heart disease, high blood pressure, infectious illness, and many other indicators of both health and aging. I stumbled across ways of doing this when I was suffering from multiple diseases, intestinal cysts, fibromyalgia, granuloma annulate, all which are progressive and incurable. just to relieve my constant pain, I learned to do the exercises you ran through briefly above. When you imagined what it would feel like to have what you want, at this writing, my disease has been running in reverse for several years. In my 40s, I'm far healthier, more active and vigorous than I was in my 20s. The main practice that has wrought this change is a form of meditation called treasury. Now, this was a really cool thing that I read, and which is really true, because I can distinctly remember when I was in the world of addiction that I would do everything that I did from morning up, as soon as I woke up to when I went to bed. Everything was about using. You know what I mean? Every single part of my day was about using. Everything I did, everything I thought, everything, and it kept me bound down to the world of addiction for a long time, and by the grace of God, I was able to get out of that realm, and how I did that's another story. But nonetheless, I'm here today. And I know that if you change your mindset to do healthy and positive things, then your life acts accordingly. Your actions, therefore, are just exactly that, positive actions. And it's amazing because, I never thought that I would be sitting here doing a video podcast of recovery and addiction, ever in my life would I ever thought I was going to be doing something like that. But I do it, and I do it because not only, number one, it brings peace to me, it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm making a difference. Not only is it keeping me in my recovery, but it's therapeutic for me, and it's part of service work that I do. In other words, in the AA and the NA book of Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous, it says that as addicts that we only can do the service work by giving away what has helped us along the way to get to where we are. And that is why I do it. I share my story and my experiences so that maybe somebody out there can relate to it, and this could be that first day for you to come into this side of positivity and recovery and change, get your life to start changing into a better one, a life that you've been longing for, a life that you would think about all the time but would never take the actions to do it. And the thing is that you have to do it little by little every single day. It's a repetitive process that you have to do it. You know what I mean? I have to, on the repetitive basis, every single day, start my day with positive actions, positive mindsets, and I end my day that way too. You know what I mean? So it's a process, but it's a process that I guarantee you works 100% if you do it. And it's a journey of hard work. Don't get me wrong. This is not something that is just going to be, it's just not something that you're going to do one time and then bam, all of a sudden your life is good. No, it doesn't work that way. It's just a thing that you're going to have to do on the daily basis, a repetitive thing every single day of your life, and it's hard work. You're going to have to put the elbow grease and you're going to have to do the leg work to do and stay in that realm of recovery and positivity. But the positive note to this is that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Your brain starts getting rewired into doing these repetitive positive things and healthy things that keep all these healthy boundaries that you, everywhere you move and turn, it's something good and something healthy, and you start living your life that way. You know what I mean? It's just amazing how it works, but it works. And it's just it's the law of attraction. You know what I mean? The law of attraction. If you can think it and then manifest it into an action, you will get it. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? So it's keeping yourself grounded in the positive energies of your life and doing all of those things. You know what I mean? For me, I've incorporated a lot of those things into my recovery arsenal this time around, and a lot of it is doing exactly that, reading, books and attending meetings and attending peer support groups and, doing those types of things. You know what I mean? I do, I talk to a lot of people, I interact, I do my videos, and then I do a lot of research. I just today, well, not today, but I just recently enrolled in a college to further my education. You know what I mean? So I currently I've got an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree, but I'm looking into a different type of degree. So I enrolled in school. So you're never too old to do new things. You know what I mean? And the thing is that you always got to be hopeful. You got to be open-minded, and you got to be willing for the change to come into your life. And when you do that, my friends, you'll be amazed at the things that life starts throwing at you, the things that start popping up, and you're not even asking for these things, but they're just popping up. All these positive and healthy things come up in your life, and you just have to be aware to grasp onto those things, because if you're in the world of darkness and addiction, when those things pop up, they're just going to pass you by, because you got these blinders on and you ain't seeing no way but one way, and that's the wrong way. So I live my life a lot like that, and I'm glad that I finally got the blinders off, and yeah. So it's a good thing, you know what I mean, to have that mentality of positivity and spirituality and recovery. All those things are intertwined into one. It's a recipe for a good life. You know what I mean? But at this time, man, I would really appreciate you guys if you would take time to give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, or please subscribe to my channel. And just know that when you subscribe to the channel, all you got to do is tap that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, but just know that when you do that, you'll be helping out another veteran, another addict, another homeless person, another person with PTSDs, another person struggling with depression and suicide, another person struggling with anger and addiction and those sorts of things. So just know that. And I really appreciate you guys watching this episode. Until the next time, when the smoke clears, I guess I'll see you. So I guess until the next time, I am the Recovery Plug.